This is my artist presentation on Frank Gehry, who is actually considered to be an architect, not an artist, but all of his buildings are a work of art in my opinion. First a little bit about Frank Gehry. He was born in Canada on February 28, 1929. When he was 17 years old, he moved from Canada to Los Angeles, California, where he is still currently based. Gehry got his bachelor's degree from the University of Southern California, where he studied architecture after he enrolled in Harvard University's graduate program studying city planning, but soon after dropped out, returning to California, where he started his own firm in 1962. Frank Gehry also has a very unique way of solving his design problems. When a problem arises, he says that he sees what works and what doesn't. Then he tries again. If the solution ends up looking like something that he has already done, he abandons it. In all of Frank Gehry's buildings that he designs, he has one goal. That goal is to transmit emotion through his designs. He believes that buildings can have the same effect on people that other beautiful works of art have on them. He compares it to someone seeing a bronze sculpture from 600 BCE and cry from seeing it. He believes that all buildings, but especially his, can also have that effect on the people who come to see his work. He tries to convey this emotion that can be felt when seeing his buildings by creating a lot of movement in his building. To create this movement, he draws a lot of inspiration from natural forms, but specifically fish. Gehry has always liked fish from when he was a little boy and would watch fish in his grandmother's bathtub. As he got older, he used it to help influence his work. He likes the curves and movement of fish as they swim. He also likes that, as he says, they have an architectural quality to them. Frank Gehry is considered to be part of the deconstructivism movement. He has said that he doesn't like modern architecture because it has a feeling of being cold, and a lot of postmodernism is reductive in his opinion. He didn't like that all of these buildings just looked like a box. He wanted to create something that was more interesting. So, he created buildings that were asymmetrical and created unpredictable shapes. He also uses materials that many would have never considered to use because they were seen as being ugly in some of his works. When he renovated his house early in his career, he used chain link fence in the remodel. He wrapped it around exterior walls and in some places floating off the house. Using this created a juxtaposition between being able to see the original cozy traditional house and the new industrial skin of the fence. The Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, Spain was one of Frank Gehry's first big projects and helped to not only put him on the map but also Bilbao, Spain. Once the Guggenheim Museum was completed, it helped to significantly increase the amount of tourism in Bilbao. A lot of Gehry's work had a positive effect on the economy of the places that they were built because it brought people to see his work. The Guggenheim Museum was built out of titanium, glass and limestone. It has many curves that are reminiscent of his love of fish. The curves help to create an open interior that does not have the typical boring box-shaped interior that Gehry hated so much. When Gehry was creating the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, he was having trouble making sure everything was lined up, so he ended up having to use technology that wasn't meant for architecture to make sure everything lined up perfectly. He later created his own software that is used by many of his peers today. This is probably one of my favorites of his works. I love the movement that he was able to create in the exterior of his work. It feels very organic and natural. Frank Gehry completed the Disney Concert Hall in 2003 for the Los Angeles Philharmonic. Gehry used over 12,000 stainless steel sheets to cover the exterior of the building, along with using glass and concrete in its creation. The stainless steel sheets that are used help to give a fluid movement to the building that was meant to help show the flow of music. It also helps make light an element to the architecture with the way that it reflects off of the pieces of steel. When designing the concert hall, Gehry was very conscious of how the decisions made would affect the acoustics of the building. He wanted to make sure that the acoustics would be the best that they could be. From the shape of the walls and ceiling to the materials used on the interior of the building were all made to ensure the best acoustics for the orchestra. I have really enjoyed learning about Frank Gehry and his buildings. I like that the way that he has been able to create movement and emotion in his works through the use of a lot of organic and natural feeling lines and shapes. That has a very clear inspiration of natural elements. I also like that he has been able to use materials in some of his works that are seen as ugly, making them into something that is beautiful. Thank you for listening to this presentation about Frank Gehry.